Mental health. It's something that keeps coming up time and time again, and for a good reason. As it's becoming more of an important topic in today's age, many people have opened up about experiences with mental health and how they've taken steps to provide themselves with the tools necessary to help. And statistics show that mental health is becoming more prevalent than ever before. According to the American Psychological Association, more than 9 in 10 Gen Z adults say they've experienced at least one emotional or physical symptom due to underlying mental strains. And I too have my own individual experiences. But thanks to improved methods of self-care, mental health is easier to manage than ever before. And one of my favorite ways of doing so is video games. Although video games by themselves are good distractors from the outside world, some games go the extra mile and delve into several different aspects regarding mental health. And in this video, I'll be going over 5 games that do just that and maybe introduce you to something that'll not only help you relax, but also invoke a sense of understanding and emotion. These are 5 games that cover aspects of mental health. Social media has become a defining feature of the internet, allowing people from around the world to communicate in a short span of time. However, with each one that continues to grow large, there's always the inevitability of toxicity and dark communities running rampant. Although kind words isn't something you think of when discussing social media, it can essentially be compared to it, but not in the sense I just described. In kind words, you get letters from anonymous users all over the world asking for advice on several situations and can help them if you feel you have something to say. Additionally, you can also write your own letters for something you want to talk about or send paper airplanes containing messages of encouragement. While you write these letters, you can change the background of the area around you or the music, which is very lo-fi and gives the game a dreamlike feel to it. And that's basically the bulk of the game. When I first got kind words in 2020, I had to stay home a lot, so it helped to have a platform to reach out about stuff going on. And the thing about kind words is that even though it's really light on content, the community engagement is really positive and there's a lot of incentive to talk with people. I was even surprised by the unlocks I got later on, which included more music and even stickers. The game doesn't have any underlying mental health messages in it like the rest of the games on this list, but is more direct in what it intends to do, as it wants to give a space for those struggling with mental health, or even just people who need help with any problems, to talk about their issues anonymously. And I think this is where kind words succeeds best. So to boot, kind words may not surprise you and keep you playing for hours on end, but for $5, you're introduced to a social network that's all positive vibes and relaxation, and I think it does the job phenomenally. Nowadays, life can be very stressful. With a lot of busy work to do, along with circumstances that are out of our control, it's easy to fall into a constant routine and become bored with each passing day. But what if suddenly everything changed, and there was more substance to what one can experience? I'm sure that people who feel this scenario know exactly what I'm talking about, and Florence is a game that sums it up perfectly. The gameplay of Florence is really simple, as it follows a linear path where the player is usually only required to move or do things in a set way while experiencing the story firsthand. But really, that's what keeps the player invested the most. Titular character Florence, I probably mispronounced that terribly, is a 25-year-old woman stuck in feelings of isolation as she pushes through a 9-to-5 job and longs for the calmness and carefree essence of her childhood. But one day she meets a musician named Krish in the classic scenario where a girl falls and guy approaches as if to say, "Hey bro, you good? I got you." And as the pair get to know each other, she's confronted with several choices that change the course of her life and her relationship, leading into suspenseful moments and later on an emotional roller coaster. Aside from that, however, the presentation of the game is just gorgeous. With beautiful hand-drawn art direction and calming music, Florence mixes these aspects with the game design to keep players invested doing even the most simple tasks. But what Florence accomplishes the most is teaching players how to navigate situations leading into adult life. Managing relationships is certainly at the center of attention, as Florence shows the ups and downs that even when there are woes, they allow us to grow as a person and become more capable. And the game only continues down this path even further as it touches on the message of loss. But there's also a constant reminder that sometimes the best way to move into the future is to move on from the past, even though we may long for the good times when we're in the middle of the bad ones. Letting go is never an easy thing, but once we get past the point of sorrow, we can move on with our lives to the fullest, knowing that it's all behind us. Florence may not be the most aspiring game on this list, but what it does offer is enough to make you want to play it many times over. And honestly, I don't think it could have done any better. Leading up to this video, I knew very little about Celeste, even though I've seen it many times and I even have a friend that can't seem to shut up about it. Wouldn't you say, Carter?
Screw off.
But entering the game, I really underestimated how much fun I would have playing it. In Celeste, you play as Madeline, a young woman who has decided to climb Celeste Mountain in an attempt to cause change in her life, as the monotonous work cycle she had grown into became stale and depressing. Throughout the journey, however, she's constantly conflicted with the push to climb back down in the face of a relenting journey, made more difficult by obstacles and a mysterious figure, but with the help of those around her, she continues to push on. Celeste, in the best way I'm able to put it, is a platformer that utilizes difficult mechanics to provide a fun and processable journey where the player encounters new ways of moving forward, and occasionally, even new deterrents. And this is what aids into Celeste's main incorporation of mental health elements, primarily regarding anxiety. As Madeline continues to move up the mountain, the obstacles and many more challenges facing her path aid into the feeling that she's unable to make the climb, yet she continues to push through and complete her goal in spite of her reservations. This could be said about people in real life too. As the world continues to move on, many situations will be met across that make the person feel like they are on a cliff straight to their doom. But they push through and do the best they can in order to feel satisfied and become stronger. And in regards to Celeste, one may interpret the game design as a way of saying to the player to keep pushing on, and the encouragement to not worry about trivial factors. There is so much more regarding mental health that I could talk with Celeste in particular, but I feel like doing so would spoil some pretty major information. And I could honestly go on about this for a long time, but if I did, my friend Carter would probably interject and talk nonstop about it. Wouldn't you say, Carter?
Screw off.
But for what I've processed, Celeste is an example of a game that combines having fun with understanding a larger struggle, and I would definitely recommend it. However, take this into consideration if you decide to play. It is kind of hard to play with one Switch Joy-Con. Wouldn't you say, Carter? Since the dawn of the games industry, the idea of video games as an art form has remained a controversial topic. While this is more of a matter of opinion, I don't think I can deny that Grease as a game is not only fitting of today's topic, but also a work of art in its own way. Titular character Grease wakes up in the palm of a crumbling statue of a woman, but as she tries to sing out, the figure crumbles and she falls to the colorless earth below, and ventures throughout striving to restore its color while forming a constellation path to the heavens and finding her voice to defeat the fears surrounding her journey. Immediately upon inspection, the most characterizing thing about Grease is its trademark art style, as it combines the color and architecture of the surrounding areas to increase the livelihood experienced, while also keeping it smooth for the player. And with its story, it delivers on a vital characteristic of mental health in a situation all too familiar. I'm not going to reveal too much for those who haven't yet played the game, but the basic gist is that the main character is navigating through her mental landscape as she struggles with depression due to the loss of a loved one. And each subsequent environment is filled with elements familiar to said loved one, and how her ability to restore colors is symbolic of how she grows and moves on from the past. With this general message, Grease combines themes of overwhelming grief, uncertainty, and anxiety as the main character passes through each environment. You could say that what the elements of the game symbolize are similar to that of Florence. However, to say that Grease is purely symbolism would be a colossal understatement. Providing insight into the lives of those with mental health, Grease tugs on its players until the very end and ties in all their emotions into one satisfying conclusion. If you find the opportunity to play it, definitely go for it, because I can promise you, Grease is a game you do not want to miss out on. All of the games that I've covered so far tend to appear more bright on the surface, with colorful art styles and relaxing music. But I decided to save Actual Sunlight to be the last game on this list, since it embellishes its mental health messages and how they can severely affect the daily life of a person. In Actual Sunlight, you play an interactive story featuring Evan Winter, a man struggling with depression as he pushes through a low-end job and relationship issues. And the events that ensue allow for a story that arguably most people wouldn't want to hear, but the game pulls in players for a profound experience. Since the game is interactive, most of the time players will be met with white text over a black background, with little input in terms of actual gameplay. But if you take the time to look past this won't really matter. In fact, I think that in order to talk about this game properly, the focus shouldn't be laid on gameplay, but rather on the story and the message. Actual Sunlight may be one of the most depressing games you could possibly play, as it encompasses the daily routine of a person as they are past the point of being young but not exactly middle-aged, and explores the effects of depression as the thought of suicide lurks in the mind of Evan's head. Although not every part of the game is relatable to the average person, the feeling of being let down certainly is, as the game strips back most of its features such as visuals and soundtrack to make its story all the more effective. In the end, with its evocative depiction of mental health issues, Actual Sunlight is not a game for the faint of heart, or even a game at all. It's a detailed portrait of the life of a depressed individual, and can be described as such given the debate about games as art mentioned earlier. I don't think I can misconstrue just how much Actual Sunlight matters in the context of its messages, and I believe that for those who want a better understanding of depression, this is an experience that everyone should discover. If you take the time to pick it up as a game, you'll be sorely disappointed. Whereas if you pick it up as a psychological experience, Actual Sunlight is worth the price. And knowing that the sun reigns behind the clouds is all the more meaningful. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And keeping with the topic of mental health, I will be providing some links in the description to any resources that one may need regarding several different issues. I care about you guys and hope that you're doing well, and hopefully the links will prove useful to those who need them. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing. It really helps the channel out. If you want to get notified about new uploads, consider hitting the notification bell or checking out my Twitter. Either one works out. But yeah guys, that's about it from me. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.